When you work in Azure, every resource you deploy, whether it's a virtual machine, storage account, or database, has a purpose, an owner, and a life cycle. Resource tagging allows you to assign metadata to those resources in the form of key value pairs. Think of a tag as a label you stick to a resource so you can organize, manage, and control it more effectively. Tags don't affect how the resource functions, but they dramatically improve how you manage it, especially at scale. Tagging plays a critical role in your overall cloud governance strategy by helping you bring structure, accountability, and visibility to your environment. It's one of the simplest yet most powerful tools you can use to support governance objectives, streamline operations, and align resource usage with your business priorities. By applying consistent tags, you make it easier to organize resources by project, team, or function, and clearly identify ownership for accountability. Tags also help you enforce consistency through Azure policy, ensuring that deployments follow your defined standards. When you are managing large environments, tags make it possible to filter and query resources efficiently, which simplifies everything from inventory management to reporting. Additionally, tags support compliance and auditing efforts by enabling the classification of workloads based on sensitivity or regulatory requirements. Although Azure RBAC does not allow direct access control based on tag values, you can still use tags to design RBAC scopes more effectively. For example, by grouping resources into tag-aligned resource groups, you can assign roles with precision and ensure the right teams have access to the right assets without relying on manual tracking or inconsistent naming. One of the most valuable uses of tagging is cost allocation. When you tag resources with values like cost center, department, or project, you can generate detailed cost reports in Azure Cost Management. This enables accurate chargebacks to business units and budget tracking across departments. Without consistent tagging, you lose the ability to see who's spending what, and that can quickly lead to budget surprises. Tags also help you meet security and compliance requirements. For instance, you can use tags to flag workloads with data sensitivity equal high, making it easier to apply specific policies or monitoring rules. When responding to incidents, tags help you identify impacted resources quickly. You can even design Azure policies that edit or restrict deployments based on the presence or value of certain tags, ensuring compliance from the moment of resource creation. Tagging doesn't have to be a manual effort. With Azure policy, you can audit resources that are missing required tags, append default tags automatically at deployment time, and deny resource creation if specific tags aren't present. This makes tagging a built-in part of your deployment process, not something that's retrofitted later. While tagging is valuable in any Azure environment, it becomes especially critical in complex or large-scale scenarios where clarity, control, and accountability are non-negotiable. If you're working in a multi-team or multi-subscription setup, tagging helps you clearly separate responsibilities and track ownership across different departments or business units. It brings order to environments that could otherwise become chaotic. In shared infrastructure environments where multiple applications or services rely on common resources, tags make it easier to track usage, allocate costs fairly, and manage dependencies. You'll find that billing, support, and operational tasks become much more efficient when each resource is properly tagged. If you're operating in a regulated industry like healthcare, financial, or government, tagging becomes vital for traceability and classification. By tagging resources based on data sensitivity or compliance requirements, you can apply the right controls and maintain audit readiness. And in large-scale enterprise deployments, where thousands of resources may span regions and projects. Tagging is essential for budgeting, lifecycle tracking, and governance enforcement. Without consistent tags, you lose visibility, and with it, the ability to scale securely and efficiently. Some of the popular tags are shown on the screen. To use tags effectively in your Azure environment, you need to approach them with clarity and consistency. Start by establishing a standardized set of tag names and accepted values across your organization. This helps prevent confusion and ensures that everyone speaks the same tagging language. Make sure to require critical tags such as owner, environment, and cost center. These provide the foundational context needed for accountability, cost tracking, and resource organization. You should also enforce tagging at scale using Azure policy. This allows you to automatically edit for missing tags, append default values, or even block resource creation if required tags are absent. To support adoption, take time to document your tag standards and usage rules in your governance guide so that every team knows what's expected. Avoid using free text or inconsistent values. Instead, enforce a controlled vocabulary to minimize errors and improve reporting accuracy. For example, choose between production or prod, not both. Ultimately, tagging only delivers its full value when it is applied consistently and maintained over time. So make it part of your regular governance hygiene. Let's get on the Azure portal and see tagging in action. In this screen, I'm in the process of creating a new resource group in the Azure portal. A resource group is essentially a container that allows me to group related resources like virtual machines, storage accounts, or databases so I can manage them together. I've selected the subscription Azure Demo 1 and I'm naming the resource groups to reflect that it will host the workloads I'm deploying. For the region, I've chosen Australia East, which means the metadata for this resource group will be stored in that region. This choice also needs to align with any policies I've set. For example, if I've assigned a policy that restricts deployments to specific regions, I must select one of the allowed ones here. Let me click on the Next now. In this screen, I'm on the Tags tab while creating a resource group in Azure. Here, I have the opportunity to add metadata as key value pairs, which helps me logically organize and manage my resources. For this resource group, I've added tags like owner, environment, and project. These tags help categorize the resource group and make it easier to track ownership, usage, and purpose later on. This is how I can apply tags to any Azure resource at the time of creation. Not just to resource groups, but also to VMs, storage accounts, databases, and more. To make this consistent across my environment, it's a good practice to establish guidelines for resource deployment that include tagging standards. That way, you can ensure all teams follow the same tagging model for governance, cost management, and automation. You can also deploy Azure policy to enforce some mandatory tags such as cost center if you have a chargeback mechanism in place in the organization. Let me click on Review plus Create. Confirmation screen appears. If everything looks good, click Create. Resource group is successfully created with tags. To add additional tags or modify existing one, simply click on the resource group. You will now notice that there's a tags menu option available in the resource blade. In fact, every Azure resource includes this tags section, allowing you to add, modify, or update tags at any time. This gives you the flexibility to maintain consistent tagging, even after the resource has been deployed. It's a key part of managing resources effectively, especially for governance, cost tracking, and automation. So, what's your key takeaway? Tagging may look like a small feature, but it's one of the most impactful governance tools in your Azure toolkit. It brings clarity, control, and accountability to your resources, helping you scale without losing visibility. While tags won't directly control access, they're vital for organizing your environment, supporting policy enforcement, and driving financial and compliance reporting. If you want to grow your cloud responsibly, start with a smart tagging strategy. It's simple, scalable, and essential.